Welcome everybody to Tales from the Tackle Shop. We are now on episode 8, soon be Christmas, and out there somewhere in the ether I've got Santa's helper. Are you there?
Santa's helper? The ether. Yeah, I'm here if you're referring to me. Anyway.
You're out there in the ether. How are you, Alex?
I'm alright, mate. I'm not too bad. Don't know. Probably like everyone getting a bit frustrated at the minute and can't do what we want to do, but that's life, isn't it? That's life.
Yeah. It's a bit melancholy, isn't it? It's a bit like Groundhog Day at the minute, but
Yeah. It is.
yeah, I just think
It is,
we've just
mate.
got to have them pulled together and we'll get through this. How's things at the shop?
It's been weird, really. This time of year is quiet anyway, but it's even more quiet. Obviously, the fishery and the shop is sort of match angler, sort of heavy, if you know what I mean. So it sort of has been big difference in the shop. Still a few eBay orders and call and collect orders, but it's more different stuff, like I think there's a few more anglers doing a bit of pipe fishing or doing a bit of chub fishing or, just drop shot in, bit of everything really. So I've sold more dead bait in the last the last week and a half than I've done for ages. So I think that sort of tells the story really. Which, people are trying new things and different venues and, anglers that would normally just fish commercials are trying rivers and, it's good in that sense. Obviously, trade's not brilliant, but Christmas is around the corner and, hopefully everyone will be making their lists and come and see me, hopefully. So we'll see.
Come and see Santa's helper, yeah. Okay,
yeah, gift vouchers are available.
I was going to say, are you doing gift vouchers this year?
Of course, yeah.
How does it work? How's it work?
Straightforward, really. Just call the shop and we'll send them in the post. So no need to come and collect them.
Is it certain amounts, or can anybody get a gift voucher of any amount?
Yeah, so it's multiples of £5.
Cool. So starting at £5, going up to 3 million, something like that.
3 million's all right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Right. That's good because gift vouchers are any women listening, and I don't wish to be sexist because obviously women can go fishing, but obviously there must be lots of women out there struggling for ideas for their husband or their partner. Tackle and baits gift vouchers are a perfect solution.
Yes. They are. They save you a lot of hassle and me a lot of hassle.
£5 voucher for your big red maggot. There you go.
Big red maggots.
Can't be bad.
Yeah,
the shop's a weird one because the shop's... It's kind of like you've had a strange year with COVID because you've had manic times and now you're having a bit of a slower time. But it's just like...
it's definitely been a weird year for the tackle shop. Sort of springtime, we'll start from January really. It's quite a busy time of year for us in the shop because of obviously the Winter League final in February. You get a lot of teams down and you got the Hayjack League and plenty of things going on, and then obviously you have the Winter League final and forget about that one this year. And then you sort of normally you have a close season anyway as a match angler that fish natural venues, but for the fishery, that's when it all kicks off. We miss it's busy all the time now, but it's that sort of time of year, May, April, end of March. It's busy. People get the gear out and go fishing and get the bug again in the nice weather. And obviously, lockdown 1 happened. So we're calling it lockdown 1 now. How many lockdowns do you think it'll be before we get it right?
Well, I think people are getting it right. I just think there's a lot of people getting it wrong, aren't there? And I think if we can get these vaccines sorted, it'd be happy days. Right, talking about the shop though. we've got a very, very special treat for listeners this week. If
Yeah.
everybody tunes in on Friday, or for Friday's guest release, it's the one and only Simon Willsmore. So
Yep.
we've got golden 2 hours, 11 minutes, I think. It's a long one, but
Yeah.
I couldn't edit it. It was just pure match angling gold.
Gold.
Gold. It was platinum. What a great bloke.
Yes. Yeah, he's a lovely bloke, Simon, and I think it's good for people to sort of understand, Simon's background into his thinking and stuff like that. And I think people enjoy it. I mean, I certainly learned a lot from just listening to him, and his sort of fishing background in Italy, and just how they approach it in Italy really was interesting for me. And obviously his thinking and how he fishes the drains, and just interesting, full stop, really.
Oh, he's got a wealth of angling knowledge. I mean, how somebody of his age, I think you'd need most mortals would have to be about 200 to have the same amount of angling knowledge that he's got. He's just got such a wealth of knowledge from loads of different angling venues, techniques, styles. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, definitely.
And of course, he's got his lovely new range of tackle out, which you're supplying. So the pole floats.
Yeah, but I think that the good thing about Simon's stuff is it's sort of niche, it's unique, and the sort of fishing we do on the drains and that in this area is absolutely perfect for it. His float ranges, his ready-made rigs, his ready-tied hook lengths now, the fact that they're 5 inches on fluorocarbon, the right diameter lines, the right hooks, for people that are struggling to sort of tie perfect rigs and perfect hook lengths, and just go to the tackle shop, buy it, and away you go.
Well, I think it's a bit more. It's not just buying the stuff, Alex, is it? It's you're actually buying stuff that top quality anglers would use in a match as well. You kind of,
yeah.
The complete novice or somebody who's learning can pick up this stuff and actually be on an even keel. That's what I found quite amazing. It's giving so many people that big boost up. So there's no excuse for not having perfect end rigs really and terminal tackle. Yeah. It was really cool. Of course, the shot as well. I didn't realise he had a connection with I'm going to say it wrong. Is it Balabini? Balabini shot. And it's just the thought process.
You can't say the name without sounding Italian, can you?
Balabini.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh dear.
It's, I mean, he's got, obviously, his shot is sort of his first sort of thing he did, and then obviously he's got his floats and hook lengths and all sorts, mate. I think anyone sort of into that style of fishing, which we sort of predominantly talk about every week, and that is, if you've got a spare 2 hours or whatever, definitely want to listen to it.
Well, anyone listening, the first part's a bit about his background, match fishing background, how he got into fishing, then Italy, and the second part is more technical side, isn't it? So it'd be a nice listen for people going to and from work, because they can stop, pause it, and come back to it at some point. But that is out Friday, and if you have any interest in match angling at all, you need to listen to that, because it is brilliant. Right. Next thing, we're going to have a chat about Holbeach Angling Club in a minute, because we said we'd start looking at different clubs, and last week we actually spent a lot of time of talking about St Ives. So this week we will broach Holbeach. But before we do that, a little bit, not even, I was going to say controversial, not really. Did you see the Angling Times article about the number of fishery-related incidents reported to the Environment Agency this week?
I did see it on a Facebook post. Yeah,
I think information's been gleaned by Freedom of Information type activity, and this has many different facets. Obviously, this is one of the reasons why we set up the Fenland Guardian Scheme. So for those that don't know, I haven't got the article in front of me. A guy that runs a similar scheme in a different part of the country, a very big volunteer bailiff type scheme, they sought Freedom of Information Act to find out how many incidents the Environment Agency received between certain dates, and it was March the 23rd and to August the 21st. And I think it was 2,924 reported incidents. And of those, only 103 were attended. So quite damning stats. Just to be fair, I think reading the report, some of those incidents may be duplicated, and there will be a range of different incidents phoned in. However, the problem is, I have a very good working relationship with one of the enforcement officers we deal with locally, Alex Thompson. The bloke is brilliant, always trying to get out to help. But I think the problem is there's so few of them on the ground that they're absolutely overrun. And stuff like this just kind of highlights the fact that we have got lots and lots of issues locally and nationally. And sadly, although we would like to think our waterways are brimming full of fish, they're not in lots of places, and we have had huge numbers of incidents and fish removal, and the EA have got a massive challenge ahead of them. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the future with that, because obviously it's funding at the end of the day. Money's going to be tighter after COVID from government sources, but the Environment Agency really have got to look at this seriously and figure out how best to get on top of it. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting viewing over the next few months of how they plan to do this. But this is no dig at the guys on the ground trying to get things sorted. Like I said, I meet Alex a lot, and he is running around like the blue ass fly, as it were, trying to deal with things.
It's nice. He's a nice chap as well. I mean, he comes checking on the fishery quite regularly, and he's a pleasant chap. He's spot on. Yeah,
there's another guy called Rob Boothby. I've never met Rob, but obviously between the pair of them, they cover a huge area, and it's impossible for them really. They can't get to lots of things. It's the time frame doesn't allow them to. They try and prioritise what they can. So so this is not good viewing. But like I said, we'll see where this takes us. One of the reasons why I mention that really is because the Fenland Guardian Scheme, not to bore people, is really picking up pace. Got the middle level commissioners on board. They're in direct partnership with us now, and there's more going to come out of that over the next few weeks. Anybody listening to this on Wednesday morning, we will be at Shepperson's Bridge at 9 a.m. So if anyone's really early listening to this and thinks, I'm local and I can help, there's a few of us going down there on Wednesday at 9 a.m. We've got to take our own gloves and bin liners, and obviously we're going to socially distance, but we're going to have a walk along the bank there and pick up as much rubbish as we can. I've been in touch with Fenland District Council today. I'm just waiting to hear back from them, but I've asked them to come down, and I think it's called Rapid Response, their team that picks up litter from their van. So I'm hoping that they'll be able to pick up all our bin liners and also be directly involved with us in future operations, because if you remember, Alex, last year we were going to do a big litter pick on the old course of the Nene through March. And
that's right, yeah.
We had the Environment Agency involved, we had the council involved, we had quite a lot of match anglers who volunteered to help, members of the community. But sadly COVID got in the way, so we had to cancel that one. So we will do several litter picks throughout the year. Obviously we'll do them sensibly so no one's at risk, but that's very good, and that's started off. And just for people's info, there was a huge amount of fly-tip rubbish just past the sewage works at Shepperson's, and it's already been collected. And I can only thank the middle-level commissioners for getting this sorted. I don't know who has picked it up yet, but I know the commissioners were on the case of getting organisations to collect it. So I'll try and find out who actually collected that. But I do know they were actively getting that sorted, so that's great. And Cheesy Bob as well, bless him. I know he was down there last Monday on his own, just fed up with it all and trying to pick up as much rubbish as he could. And what he was doing, he was taking it home and putting it in his own refuse bins. So, I feel a bit sorry for Cheesy because he tends to do an awful lot off his own back. And like I said, he was down there last Monday. I think he felt a bit guilty, but I don't know why, because he's not dropping it. And he was picking up as much as he could. So, just to reiterate, we'll be there Wednesday, 9 a.m. Obviously, the podcast goes out on Wednesday, so most people will have heard this after the event. But if anybody is about and can shoot down there, you're more than welcome to join us. Next thing on litter, I spoke to Dr. Emma Smith. She works for the Angling Trust, and she is pushing the Anglers Against Litter campaign. So we are starting up a partnership with the Angling Trust with the Anglers Against Litter campaign. So any initiatives that we do, I will forward to her, and we'll link the Angling Trust in with that. And she's going to do vice versa, and we'll see where this takes us. So that will be quite interesting, because we've got lots of different organisations now involved with the scheme, which can only be a good thing. And obviously we're going to get quite a lot of publicity nationally and locally, and with different governing bodies. So that will obviously blossom in the future, and we'll see where that takes us. So lots of things happening from that point of view. So it's all very positive. And like I said, hopefully we can just start getting places a bit more tidier, and hopefully people then will respect the environment a bit better. Excuse me. One interesting thing from this, Alex, is the dog walkers at Shepperton have started getting involved as well.
Yeah.
They've started photographing anybody who's dropping litter, as in the fly tippers.
Yeah.
So this is brilliant. So I know a van went down last week, and the occupants tried to fly tip down there. One of the dog walkers started taking photographs, and the van thought, uh-oh, this is not a good idea. So they left. Now, obviously, if they're that intent, they're just going to go somewhere else. However, people are taking note of what's going on and are actively doing something about it. So that's good news. Shepperson's Bridge, even though it's a hot spot, people are helping out. And, if we all do this together, I'm sure we can stop it. Yes. Holbeach.
Holbeach.
Should we go on to Holbeach?
Yeah, why not?
Why not? Have you done much fishing on Holbeach water?
I've done a bit of ditch diving at Holbeach waters with my van over the years, but
Oh yes, I forgot.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't say this on purpose. I completely forgot about it.
Yeah, I've driven along that little Holland quite a few times. I've even been in it. Yeah.
Yeah. You recounted the tale about 3 episodes ago, didn't you?
Yeah. I haven't fished it massively over the years. It's only sort of this last 2 or 3 years, more and more anglers are getting on the bank. I mean, there's always people fished the Big Holland and Little Holland. And we always used to fish it in the summer in what was the King of the Fens League, when John Spolton used to run them. And used to have some brilliant days on there, with roach in the summer as well, which you don't tend to get a lot of on the drains. It always had a bit of colour. There was areas where you'd catch skimmers and bream. There was always quite a few big perch. And then obviously they had a lot of problems with the salt getting in and killing quite a few fish, and it just took a backseat for a few years. The last sort of definitely 3 or 4 years, the club matches have grown. What you don't see is you don't see their matches being won with, like, you get an odd one where it's won with 2 or 3 bream, but lots of broach, small fish. Do you know what I mean? Like the matches used to be, not like 2 tench winning it or 1 tench first and then a £2 second. It's consistent fishing all the way through.
Well, Holbeach is...
And then...
Sorry, mate, go on.
No, you carry on, mate. Sorry.
Well, what I was going to say was the South Holland's a really interesting drain, because as a kid, I went down there once, and all we could catch were bootlace eels, and that was the time of when it was still recovering from a really big fish kill, which must have been a salt one. But that was about, oh dear, 30 odd years ago. So
Really?
Yeah, it was dead then, and then it came back. And then when I got my teeth into it properly, it was probably 1999, 2000.
Right.
And I knew nothing about it. So it was like a little bit of a voyage of discovery for me. And it used to be, the main Holland was split into 3.
Right.
And it had like, they're not lock gates, they were proper pump style gates in between the 3 sections.
Yeah.
So it was really quite interesting to explore it, and each section had its own little kind of intricacies. I never fished the middle section at all, really. I don't know why, it just
Right.
didn't appeal to me. But the top end, which was Pear Tree and up that way, that was really good. It was
Yeah.
ever so shallow, and
Yeah.
it was ever so clear. But you could, I remember dead baiting along there, and stuff I'm saying now is hardly secret squirrel because the fish have been annihilated, which I'll explain in a minute. But I remember I used to use sardines. I could see them on the bottom, and so I used to have to walk up to the bank, keeping really low, and I just use like a couple of swan shot and a little float, and underarm flick it out. And these were the days where you could spread your rods out a bit without being collared by whatever. And you just sit there right back from the water's edge so you could just see the floats because you didn't want to spook any of the pike. And it was amazing what you pick up in this really shallow, clear water. You'd look at it and think, oh, there's nothing there. But you had to learn not to be put off by it and just give it a go.
Yeah.
And of course, you could leapfrog for miles. It was lovely because the amount of wildlife and the bird life you used to see along there was fantastic. But like I said, it was split into three, and it was really quite interesting. Of course, the lower section held most of my attention because at the
Which
top,
section?
the bottom section, from the going into the knee.
Further. Oh, right.
Yeah,
Toward the bottom end. Yeah.
Yeah, so you got the bigger bit, the wider section.
Yeah. Wider sections. Yeah.
And I remember the bream shoals were biblical.
Yeah.
I used to pre-bait before the season started, and it got to the point whereby after 3 or 4 trips I wouldn't go again because it got boring. I used to get up really early in the morning. I used to be there in the dark, so first light, chuck out, and I'd use size 8 hook. It would be...
You scale down then.
Yeah, a couple of dendrobinas, a couple of sweet corn, feeder, whack it out. Bear in mind I've been free baiting for a couple of weeks, put a load of bait in the night before. First cast, tip would fly straight up, boof, bream between 6 and 9 pound. It was incredible. Never used a keep net, you'd have killed them.
Yeah.
They're too big. You know, you just put them back. Second cast, poof. Same again. Third cast, poof. It was incredible.
There must have been a lot there for you to catch them like that. That's all I'm going to say.
My best catch, I used to count them were 33, and that wasn't in counting.
33? Is that all?
That wasn't in counting the 1 to 2 pound jobs. I'd only count the big ones.
Oh, right.
So
Right.
that's you're getting a hell of a way. I mean, I remember it used to get between about 20 to 25 bream in the morning because you get to about 8 o'clock when the sun would come up, and then you'd have to go right fine. I used to use like 16 hooks, single maggot and caster just to continue getting bites. But it was fantastic fishing. I just think that water wasn't very deep. 4 or 5 foot most of the swims I was fishing, and it was absolutely heaving with them. However, they disappeared. This was the strangest thing ever. Can't remember the year exactly. Was it 2004, 5, 6, something like that? Went down, did my usual pre-baiting routine, sort of end of May, beginning of June. Blanked. What's going on? Blanked. Thought it must be a fluke. Went down again, different area. Blanked. They'd gone. Don't know if they got washed out. I don't know what had happened. But that was before the saltwater influx, and then other things happened, and it got well known for other things. And then I kind of came off it and went back on it a bit later on. And then, of course, we had the massive fish kill. I mean, absolutely huge. Someone went down one day, they found 49 pike dead along the corner from Cement Bridge.
Right.
49. And they were lumps, some of them. So, if anyone knows anything about this, what happens is the individual fish, when there's like a big saltwater incursion or leaching through the ground, fish that are like pike that don't shoal, they don't get any warning signs when the water's getting poisoned. So bream and roach, that's one of the reasons they shoal. A few of them start dying, the shoal realise something's wrong and they flee the area. Right. So they tend to escape this more than solitary fish. So fish like pike just keel over and die. That's why on the Broads, when they have the primesium, you get a lot of pike die, and that's why they get bigger pike come through, because the strain is stronger and also there's less of them and so forth and so on. But just it wiped out the whole stretch. And what I didn't realise, because I hadn't fished it for a while, the drainage board had got rid of these pumps that separate the sections.
Right.
Had they? I'm going to get this slightly wrong. Or no, the sections were in then, and something happened. I think it poisoned the bottom part, and then because it was the summer and it was really low, I think they didn't realise, and I think they filled up the middle section from the bottom section and wiped that out as well. And the top section got drained. That was it. Someone left the pump running from the top section and virtually drained it dry.
Right.
You couldn't write this. It was absolutely incredible. That whole drain got absolutely wiped out, literally over a space of a week or two. Subsequently, they've taken out the pumps, so now it's just one long stretch. So that's completely changed in character. And, as you've said, over the years now, the silverfish have started coming back. So there's a lot of roach.
Well, the other thing, it's very unique that it's probably got the biggest head of carp in the Fens, hasn't it? It's one of them drains.
The angling club used to net the Little Holland, sell the carp, to buy silvers to put in the main drain.
Right.
And I think also a lot of the carp from the Little Holland found their way into the main Holland as well. So it's quite a... I should imagine some of these carp were pike anglers' hold live baits from a long time ago as well. Do you know what I mean? So it's a strange... Those carp are strange. There used to be pictures in Jed's tackle shop. Is it Jed's?
Yeah.
Of a massive carp on a old fertiliser bag. But that was back in the day. These carp don't seem to be getting that big, but I don't know much about them. But I do speak to one or two guys who go after them. But they've had a funny life, those drain carp, because I think they've come from one or more sources. Also, I should say more than one source. But you're right. There's a lot of carp in there now. But of course, the carp took a foothold once a lot of these other fish got wiped out.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the state of the bream shoals in there now, but I do see from match reports they are catching some. But the bream used to be, they were really big shoals. I mean, I didn't catch any monsters. The biggest I had was £9.6, I think, but the average size was huge. Some of them must have been £7 or £8, and you'd catch a lot in the morning. Big old black things. But it's a strange drain, and it's making a big comeback. So it's really interesting. And the angling club, like I said, were very, very proactive in trying to keep the main drain stocked because they had a big match angling presence at the time, and they liked their silverfish fishing. Hence why they were selling the carp from the Little Holland to fund silvers into the main drain. Yeah, so nice little club, the Holbeach Angling Club, and the Holland is a very, very special water, really, because I think it's got some surprises in it, and I did see that there's a few zander coming out of it as well.
Really?
Yeah. I foul hooked a zander in there while fishing for bream one summer, probably 15 years ago, in the tail.
Right.
And it probably weighed £2, £1.5 pound, and I caught this thing, and I thought, good God, I never knew they were in here. But yeah, there's a few more coming out, so yeah, but probably not many in there, but it's an interesting water, it really is. So when you fished the King of the Fens, did you catch many bream in there, or did they make an appearance, or was it...
Yeah, there was... the earlier rounds, there definitely was a few bream caught. I mean, these matches were sort of 60, 70 pegs, so it sort of covered quite a, sort of any pegs at all the different areas, different good access points. There was always lots of perch, lots of roach. Never the carp, like the little carp that you're seeing in the nets now, sort of 12, 14 ounce, £1.5 pound sort of size, which... who knows, in 10 years down the line, there might be like the tench of the middle level. There might be your bonus fish. And generally you tend to find where there's carp, the bream and skimmers do fry, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, they should. It'll be really interesting, like you said, to see what happens over the next 8-10 years, because I think it's a very food-rich venue. I think because it's slightly brackish and it has that problem, it actually promotes the shrimp life. Yeah. I think there's some really... I think it has massive freshwater shrimps in there. And obviously it gets very weedy in places as well. So I think the natural food life in there is amazing. And that's what I'm saying. I think it's a real, it's one of those, you get some drains, it's a bit like the Delph. The Delph's kind of one of those enigmas, you just don't know what's in there. And
Yeah.
I think the South Holland's another one, you kind of like think, wow, I wonder what actually is in here. It's quite an interesting drain. And then, of course, you've got the Little Holland. Now, I haven't fished
Yeah.
that for 20 years. I heard it got
Yeah,
polluted with
strange one.
someone's white van polluted it a few years ago with their smelly socks.
Oh, right, yeah.
Have you
Yeah.
have you fished the Little Holland much?
I think I fished it once. I can't remember where or what I was doing. A few years ago, I think it was on the way back from a match on the Bargate or one of the Boston drains years and years ago, and it was on the way back, and it was obviously in the summer, and I think we said, "Oh, let's try and catch some carp." So we stopped off, and I think I had like 2 in an hour and a half, and it was just weird catching carp on the pole on a drain. It just felt so different and not wrong, but just don't know, just weird. It was mad, but yeah, I had 2 in like an hour and a half or whatever, and we carried on back to March. But it's obviously I used to drive along it every single day, and it used to get fished really heavily. Obviously, I've not driven along it for quite a few years now. But yeah, on all the bridges, there's always 3 or 4 cars, and yeah, it's just one of them weird venues, really, and different.
Certainly different. I mean, I remember the 1 or 2 times I used to fish it, I think it was a father and son come down, I can't remember, and they had these 6-foot rods and this really thick line, and I thought, what on earth are they doing? And the Little Hollands got reeds along it in certain places, and what they do, they walked about 150, 200 yards down from me, and they got some bread and they chucked it into the reeds on the far side. I'm looking at it thinking, what are they doing? And they had these really short rods, and they used to put, I remember, this clump of bread flake on, and literally use the weight of the bread flake to cast into the reeds on the far side. And what they had worked out is the better carp were actually sitting in the reeds, and they would hit them on the floating bread flake and actually bully them out of the reeds with this really heavy gear. It was incredible to watch. And that's how they used to catch them on there. I don't know if they still do that, but
yeah, I remember seeing people fishing surface the carp on there. Yeah, definitely.
It's quite an ingenious way of doing it, really. There was me with a little pole out and whatever, trying to catch these carp, and running up and down the drain every time we hooked one, because they'd be about 4 or 5 pounds, some of these things. They're quite good fun. But yeah, every now and again you hear something slurp and crash in the reeds, and then his father and son come down and taught me how to do it. I just watched them thinking, wow, that looks like fun. I never went back and tried it. Just one of those things you see it and go, oh, I fancy giving that a go, and never get round to it. But yeah, it'd be interesting to hear how the Little Holland's fishing now, because it was really popular at one point, and it's got that caravan park near it, hasn't it, as well, near the bottom end?
Yeah.
And I also used to see quite a lot of people near that area and a bit further back towards Sutton St James. But yeah, 2 drains, and a few years ago you couldn't have got 2 more contrasting drains, really, when you think about it, what was in either. So, you know, Holbeach Angling Club's got some fascinating water, and it looks like it's making a comeback, which is really, really good to see. Alex, do you sell the books at your tackle shop?
No, mate, no. Bit too far away in the wrong direction.
It is, yeah.
I would think Jed's obviously sell them. I would think you'd be able to get them off the bailiffs. And I'm pretty sure they've got a website as well. So
yeah, cool. So if anyone's fancying doing a bit of something a bit different and actually doing a bit of exploring, you can't go far wrong a fish there. I mean, just as a heads up, they're catching a lot of fish at Sharps Bridge, I noticed on the Facebook
they are,
page.
yeah.
Nice mixed bag of roach, skimmers and bream still, I think.
Yeah, big perch as well.
Yeah.
Some nice perch.
Yeah, big perch. And again, Sharps is interesting because I think it's about 12, 14 foot deep in places along there.
Is it?
Yeah, you go a bit further.
I don't think I've fished Sharps. I think it's Cement Bridge that we used to fish.
Yeah.
Say as if you were coming from Tid, and you go, say you come from Wisbech to Tid, you go over Main Road, and then the next bridge you come to is obviously the main Holland. What's that bridge called?
That's the main
Do we
bridge.
know?
Can't remember. It's the main one back from the gates where it goes down to the Neen. But you're right.
Yeah.
Cement Bridge was past. You had to go through Sutton St James, and that's where there's a short section of road ran along it. And then,
that's right. Yeah.
Because you guys would like that, because you could just roll out of your car, get your platforms out, and fall down the bank. So yeah. And it probably had about 12, 14 pegs in that section, I would say, in that short. You could perhaps get that many in there. But that's where the silvers used to stack in the winter, back in the day.
Right.
And obviously the perch. And they used to get some really big bags of quite small fish in there. So it was a good holding area. I think there's a few fish there now, but it seems like most of the fish are down by Sharps Bridge, which is interesting. Or not most of the fish, but they're getting some nice weights down there. And I did notice earlier on they were catching at Leeds Gate, which is a lot further upstream, and you have to sort of do a bit of homework to find that one, because it's the roads are a bit in and out when you get back that way. You kind of like don't want to stray off.
Which is Leeds Gate? Is that out towards going back up towards sort of Gedney and that way?
Yeah, you don't want to stray off the path up there, bud, because God knows what'll happen out in Lincolnshire, you know.
Out near Doubledays, out that way.
Is that the tractor place?
Yeah.
Yeah. You go past there and back a little bit, and you get Decoy and Leeds Gate around there, and I think they've been catching quite a nice stamp roach there in the summer, from what I can gather, the last 2 years. So again, very shallow, and I think the fish are a bit flighty, but it's all interesting stuff, because every section has its own little identity, and you can get a feel of a stretch and think, oh, this is really quite interesting. It's a really fun drain. The downside is in the winter, when it runs off, man, does that run off. It's the old wooden gate still at the end where it goes into the Neen. So when I used to fish it back in the day, on certain tides with a certain amount of rain, when they used to open the gates, it used to pick up all the bottom weed that was dying,
right,
and pick it up, and you couldn't fish it. It was just impossible, because all the weed was suspended, and no matter how you fished it, you got just like snot on your line, and it just used to wipe you out. So that's the only downside with it. I have heard that they're being far more sympathetic when they're running the water off. But like I said, it's third, fourth hand information, because I just don't fish it anymore. But it's a lovely drain. I used to throw up some massive bream and roach and tench, and obviously the carp were unknown of then, so there was one or two people doing it on the quiet. So interesting, and something you could get. I think if you were local, it'd be a really fun drain to get your teeth into over a season.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Right. I'm out of things to talk about now. Have you got any hidden gems?
Hidden gems?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I can't remember if I mentioned Morton's Lean last week, did it?
We did, yeah. We mentioned Morton's Lean.
We did we?
Yeah.
Right. So the other one is the Lark at Isleham.
Yes.
That's another hidden gem. Loads of fish, ground bait and pinky, bread punch, bit of M. I know it's one of them venues. Again, the fish do tend to stick to the cover. So that's definitely worth a visit. I know Darren Hart sent me some pictures in of his session on there, and he had cracking days fishing. So that's one venue definitely worth trying. Have you fished that at all, Andy? Or
yeah, I fished it. I fished it a lot back in the day.
Did you?
Not at Isleham.
No.
Near a prick willow.
Yeah,
there were certain sections that were a lot better than others, and the Lark was a strange drain to. I was pike fishing it, and it's quite overgrown, and it was great fun leapfrogging along it, but you had to take a pair of secateurs to cut through the reeds. You couldn't get to the water.
Right.
So I used to try leapfrogging it and used to be knackered and catch virtually nothing. In the end, I used to find it far easier just to sit in one spot and let them come to you because it used to have a lovely draw on it. I presume it still does. It's got this really nice pace draw. So if you're using dead baits, it used to just be fantastic because your scent trail must be going down for miles. But I do know it has a massive otter population now.
Right.
So I don't know if I'd be confident going back for that. But I would imagine where you said that up at Isleham, there's always been a lot of fish caught there because you've got the marina close by as well.
Yeah.
And the fish must migrate up there from 10 Mile. That used to be the theory, that you get this migration of fish, as we've spoken about a few podcasts ago. And they go up the Wissey, they go up the Lark, and they go up the Little Ouse. So these fish would move through. And of course, Prick Willow, I spoke about 2 minutes ago. You'd get some really nice match weights there back in the past as the roach were coming through. I don't know, have you fished any matches at Prick Willow?
You don't tend to see many matches now, no.
It's I like Prick Willow. It's a beautiful little stretch of water.
Yeah. You don't get many matches in that sort of little area. I mean, you don't get many little open matches or club matches on obviously the Ouse there. I mean, there's the Little Ouse as well, which is another venue that is good fishing, isn't it?
Well, I read yesterday, day before, we used to fish at Little Ouse Settlement, which is the village. And it used to be quite good with the roach around the little village bridge, little black humpback bridge there. But I think I've got it right in saying that's now no fishing.
Really?
I think the landowner I think King's Lynn used to have it, and then they relinquished it. And then I think a lot of these places, sadly, there was a lot of problems with fish poaching. Yeah. Obviously, people who, how can I put this politically correctly, didn't know better, just thought they could go anywhere and just do what they liked. And I think the landowners had enough of it and just basically said no fishing at all.
Mad.
Which is a shame, but I'm afraid that's what happens when people are allowed to do what they like. Whereas, so I think that's what's happened there. And I think it's the same at Prick Willow. I think they've had an awful lot of problems down there with illegal fish removal, which is a crying shame. It's like all these drains, but I mean, a Little Holland, I wasn't going to mention it, but I think they've had a lot of problems there as well with carp being taken from the table, which is a shame. But there we go. That's the state of play we are in at the minute. So the Lark is a beautiful river just to be there. I used to love fishing the Lark. It's got all the vegetation. It's like it's not like a Fenland drain. It's a proper Fenland river that meanders, isn't it? It's got bends, it's got straights, and it's got this lovely flow on it, and the water quality is beautiful. Yeah, it's just I do need to go back at some point. I just haven't got time to doing it, but I think I fished most of these places at some point or another. Yeah. In my ramblings.
What about? I bet you haven't fished this one.
Go on.
So going back, still in the Fenland area, I suppose. So going to my stomping ground for a bit there in Boston. So I know there's a lot of fish been coming out of the South 40 foot.
I have fished it a couple of times.
Have you?
I met a guy on the riverbank down on one of these bridges in the middle of nowhere who was training birds of prey.
Right.
I went down there because obviously I'd hear snippets. So I go down and try different places. And I was on the South 40 foot a long, long time ago. And I managed to find this area that's about 18 inches deep. I don't know how I managed it. I still caught a couple of little jacks. But this bloke came down holding this massive bird of prey. Thinking, what? So obviously I spent a lot of time. I love birds of prey. He was fascinating. But yeah, he was training them. But again, that was a long time ago. But I've only fished them a couple of times. But it was the main road from, where would it be? On the way to Boston, goes over Boston. It. Yeah.
Yeah, Boston to Swansea.
That's it. Is that a good area for roach?
The best area, and at the minute, is right in the sort of Boston end of it, near home base, near Tesco's and that there. there's like level crossing and a big bridge. There's some nice, comfortable fishing there, and loads of roach, skimmers, like hybrid things, perch, pike, obviously. Yeah, it's just nice fishing, to be honest.
I've never
Fished it a
fished
few
it that
times.
far up. Have you? I mean, that far down, I should say. Have you fished there much?
Only a couple of times, but it's consistent. I mean, I do keep track of the Boston district Facebook page, and they post quite a few of their match results and what people have been catching. And I know they've been catching quite a lot of the small fish and silverfish, definitely on the South 40 foot.
That's good stuff, isn't it? It seems like
Yeah,
a lot of these drains, there's a lot of silverfish around at the minute, which is nice.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Have you got any more hidden gems up your sleeve?
I think I sit there and all of a sudden I think, oh yeah, what about there? And then, oh yeah, what about there? Why don't we fish there anymore? I'll tell you one strange venue. It's not cold enough yet, and it's probably not even been dredged out, but it's Swan on the North Level system at Parsons Drove.
It
You
is,
must
isn't
have
it?
fished Swan.
Well, back in the day, when I
Back in the day.
back in the day, when I was
Back.
when I was about 12 or 13, I used to fish at Throckanault.
Yeah,
So I used to get dropped off, and I used to catch the smallest little live baits I could find. They're like minnows, and then I used to
yeah,
put them under like a proper old school chubber, little chub thing,
yeah,
and
yeah.
or perch dibber, and used to catch perch under that bridge, and the perch would have been a monstrous 3 or 4 ounces.
Really?
But I was fascinated at the fact that this would work. I'd be piking and not catching anything, so because I was, when you're young, you want things to happen, don't you? So I'd take a little
Yeah,
spare rod with me, some maggots, and yeah, it was, again, it was as a little kid, the water there, unbelievably, was crystal clear at times, and you could see everything, and I used to be fascinated. But yeah, I haven't fished swan at all, I don't think. No, but obviously used to mess about with the bridges down Throckanault and Clough, and yeah, as a kid you used to try all sorts of things. But you guys used to have a lot of matches in those allotments.
yeah. It's another one of the Spolt Weird and Wonderful Mystery Tours. I can remember fishing, I think it was the Bourne League back then. That was always after Christmas. So you either fish the Bourne League or the Hayjack League. And I don't know. You just think how you used to fit it all in back then. But definitely used to have the Bourne League and then the Hayjack. But the Bourne League was always more sort of Lincolnshire, Spalding, Tid. It was always Town Welland and Glen, to be honest. But obviously that didn't fish for a few years, so they sort of went on Tid, and that was sort of the mainstay for quite a few years. And I think one particular year, Cloud didn't fish at all, and Spolt being Spolt, he looks for venues and different bits and bobs, and he went on Swan and started catching the fish. And Chuck, that's it, we're all on Swan. I'm joking. It's like, no, everyone's like 45 pegs or something silly like that, all in a row from the bridge all the way down towards Cloud Bridge.
You get
So
that
big
many
walk.
pegs in there?
Yeah, it was something silly like that. Maybe not 40, but it was definitely 30 pegs. And the Bourne League always used to have a lot of lads from like Essex Way, Harlow, because of obviously the roach fishing and that on the Town Well, and they always fished that league. And I remember drawing halfway down, and I had probably 7 or 8 pounds. But you talk of like narrow and steep banks and shallow. I mean, this makes Factory Bank look like the Thames. It's just ridiculous. Like literally, as soon as the dredges go in, however deep they dredge it, is how deep it is. It's like a digger depth deep, and it was one of them weird venues though. There was a way of catching on there. You know how it is full of fish, or there's nothing there, and you used to catch skimmers. Like big skimmers, big roach, big sticklebacks, odd tench. It's just weird fishing, and think I had £6 or £7 that one, and then they started having the Wednesday tid matches there. And I remember Bob Nudd fished one, and I drew next to it. It was the first time I think I'd ever drew next to Bob Nudd, and as a kid, and Bob Nudd is sort of most people's idols and stuff like that, and drawing next to me on there. And I want to say I had about £16, and Bob had about 11, £12. It was like, when you're sort of 16, 17 or whatever it was. You remember days like that, don't you?
Yes, yeah.
I remember we made these really light floats because it was so shallow, so you couldn't fish a heavy float, but you couldn't. But then because of the skim, so we made some floats, took the thin wire out and put a heavier wire in, so it was nearly self-weighted, and used those, so you had nothing down your line hardly, but it was heavy enough to hold it back in the skim. But it used to be bread fishing as well. It was mad.
I was going to say, how deep was it there? It could only been a couple of foot deep.
If you're lucky. It was It was ridiculously shallow. Your whole keep net was out of the water.
Yeah. It's amazing how the fish
you could see your rings.
Yeah.
But when they were in there, it was good fishing. And I remember one year, I think the last round, not that year, but the following year was the Bourne League. And I think our team was, I don't know, Mark 1 Youth or whatever. It was me and Daniel. And I think that was a year I went for the under 23s and Dan went for the under 18s. And it was like me and him were both first and second as in the individual thing. And I remember drawing peg one, which was like the flyer. And that was sort of in between the two little bridges. And I think I had about 10 or £11. I caught loads of gudgeon that day. And it was just different fishing altogether then. But I'm sure people must still fish it. They must do.
Well, I suppose
they must do.
It's we keep getting onto TID most weeks. I think TID is a bit of an enigma at the minute, isn't it? What is going on there? And I don't know. Have you been over Clough recently?
Clough?
Yeah.
No.
I go to physio every other week, and he lives in Holbeach Drove, so obviously I go over Clough. And I haven't seen an angler down there yet. That's not to say no one's been fishing it, because obviously the times I've been going are weird. But I'm just thinking, look, every time I go, I stop and have a look, because that's what you do, and it doesn't look right.
Yeah.
It's a lot of surface weed still, cotweed, and
right.
It just looks dead. And I don't know. I think. Because obviously, I think we spoke about this a few podcasts ago. The fish normally would migrate up that way in the winter, wouldn't they? They'd all pile in, and they'd pile into Throckmorton, Swan in particular, like you said. And several seasons running, the Swan was the place to be. But I don't know what's happened, whether it's too silted up and it's too shallow and they're not comfortable. I don't know. There's only one way to find out. But it's not cold enough, like you said as well. Back then, we had colder winters still, didn't we? It would freeze over sometimes.
Mm.
So I don't know if that's had an effect. There's a lot of variables involved, but I don't know what the answer is. But I suppose we'll just have to keep an eye on things this winter and just see what happens. You need to get spolt fishing down there. That's the answer.
Yeah.
With his beach casters.
Yeah. And his legworm.
He's told me he can cast 203 yards.
Can he?
Yeah. He's taken the bail arms off his rod. Just got the little the groove where the line runs through. And
right.
he says I've got a special technique. 203 yards. Not really. He hasn't told
203.
He hasn't told me the distance at all. I just thought I'd wind you up. But
right.
He's enjoying his sea fishing. So that's why I haven't seen him, mate. He's been down chucking out all sorts of things for these smooth hounds. But we'll get him down Swan and get him fishing. That's the only way to try, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously French Drove as well. If there's fishing Swan there, we're fishing French Drove.
Now that used to be a very, very good area, didn't it? A few years ago.
It did.
For all sorts.
Yeah.
What has happened there? Because that is one place I have never fished properly.
What, French Drove?
No.
That was the first time I caught like half bleak, half skimmer. it was a proper Fenland funny fish.
Proper
it was
fen
proper.
creature.
It was, mate. It was about 2 ounces, and I swung it in, and I was like, "Is that a skimmer or is it a bleak?" And it was just the oddest thing ever. And there's quite a few in there, to be honest. There's quite a few. So.
Where does Throckenholt end and French Drove start?
I would say French Drove starts where the road meets it.
Right,
That's where I would say.
And that's why I haven't fished it much, because it is lethal along there, isn't it, where the road is? The road's really narrow.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, we only used to fish one bit up near the pumping station there.
Yeah.
That's where we always used to fish and used to get some awesome bags. It was always good after Christmas. I remember that was always sort of a dead of winter type venue. I know they used to have winter leagues and all sorts on there years ago.
Have you ever looked on an ordnance survey map of all the land drains around there?
I haven't, no. I've obviously been that way quite a few times to Spalding, and then all of a sudden when you go the back way, like to get on the A16, you know, and you get lost and you think, I'll just go down this road, and it leads to the same road. And it looks like French Drove never ending, but it goes for miles, doesn't it?
Yeah, it reaches Thorny Toll in one direction, and it branches off in another direction, and it is. And I used to know a guy who rented a house on a farm, and part of it was there. And I went down to have a look one day, and it's about 4 or 5 foot deep, and about 3 foot wide. And he used to say they used to see bream move up and down there during the close season spawning.
Yeah. So you know, French Drove, going back to them half bleak, half things. People used to say they used to fish migrating. That, yeah, probably do, but them you never used to catch them funny fish at Main Road End. You'd only catch them on French Drove itself. So makes you wonder whether these fish do move as much as they say, or you know, I don't know really.
This is a beautiful thing about it all. There's so much we don't know, and that's what I was saying about like South Holland. It's just a bit of an enigma, isn't it? It's a big enough water just to keep people going. I like places like that. And you think about French Drove, not very wide, not very deep, but you measure up all that water that goes off into the back and beyond. That's a lot of places for a lot of fish to hide.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
And that's that to me is what the beautiful thing about the Fens is, isn't it? It's if you keep searching, there's loads and loads of surprises. It's like this little river out here, the old course of the Nene. I just think it's magical. Absolutely incredible. Where will those fish come from?
Yeah.
And there's so much room for them to go and places for them to hide. And yeah, I just think we've got a lot of beautiful fishing in the Fens, and we just need to make sure we keep it beautiful for future generations.
Definitely, mate.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's a few good blasts, Alex. A few good gems that you had up your sleeve. Anything else that you can think of, or you've got for us, or are you going to leave us with those few and give us a few more next week?
Yeah, but yeah, I'll think of some more, some eureka moments. Oh yeah, what about that? Oh yeah. Yeah, I'll try and think of a few more for next week.
Cool. What are your plans for this week? Have you got anything interesting lined up, or is it kind of just...
Yeah, so I've got BBC coming to the fishery tomorrow.
Have you really?
Yeah, BBC Look East, I think. They just want to do sort of a bit about how fishing is a go in lockdown, and how we've sort of diversified a little bit of how we do things with the one-way system, and just highlighting how safe it is if it's done properly.
Oh, that's going to be great. So when you'll find out tomorrow when that's going to be aired. I suppose that'll be aired. Is it going to go on a news item, or is it going to go on a feature? Do you know? I
don't know, to be honest. They just phoned me up out of the blue the other day and said about it. I said, yeah, no problem, So, yeah.
Do you need, like, Brad Pitt's double to come down and wear a tackle and baits shirt?
What, my dad? Hello? Yeah.
You got your...
Yeah. Yeah, no. Yeah, so that'll be a bit different.
Well, you have to you're going to get like inundated with all these strange women coming down. If you have your dad on here, you got to keep him off.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can't have him on there. It'd just be unfair, wouldn't
yeah.
it? Yeah.
What else?
Well, that's
That's about
unique.
it, really.
Well, that's
Yeah,
unique, isn't it? I suppose you still got people pleasure fishing, and they're coming down and they're using the one-way system properly, so that's good.
yeah. Who knows? They're probably going to go fishing somewhere Sunday. I think just go for a few hours and have a look about. Maybe cut some pegs out on the 20-foot because got to get ready for when matches can start again. So probably get out and about.
Cool. Well, I've hardly been the last 3 or 4 weeks. I think I've been once a week, and I ain't caught much of note at all.
Yeah.
No, I
Once
have.
a week.
I have. I'm going to.
Liar.
I have. I've been too busy doing really mundane, boring things. But I want to get a little bit more because we've had a bit of rain now, and that will be good. That should flush out a few of these systems, and we've got a bit of that dying weed. Get rid of that. I think things will be good. I think get matches back and I'll get you match anglers out of the way because we don't you match anglers buying dead baits and things because you're just gonna dear me
Catch them all.
catch them all. But it'll be good stuff. That will be good. Right, buddy. Well, I suppose you'll have to give us an update next week on your television appearance and how Dad get on being the cover man for Tackle and Baits.
Yeah.
And
Pin-up boy.
we will have something slightly different next week. I've got a little teaser for you for another guest that we had on from a few weeks ago. So that will be quite good as well. Right, buddy, is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, just everyone stay safe and enjoy the fishing while we can. So,
Well, that's right. Everyone just stay safe, keep your social distancing, keep fishing and just have a good time with it already. It's not going to be too much longer, hopefully. We'll get through this all and you guys can get match angling and we'll have a bit more to talk about on the podcast because we are filling things in but rambling a lot as well.
yes,
But we're good at rambling and talking absolute nonsense.
we're awesome at it, aren't we?
Absolute experts. Right, buddy, I'm going to wrap this up and say this has been Tales from the Tackle Shop, a Fenland Fishing TV production.